Drawers are obviously a common feature in a lot of furniture, and one detail that most furniture styles share is that the top drawer will be shallower than the ones below it. That seems to just be a standard practice, and you can see that here in Steve Latta's serpentine sideboard. You can also see it in Christian Bexfort's shaker cupboard here. And there are a number of methods for determining the different heights or the progression of the drawers. You might just start with an arbitrary dimension for the top drawer or the bottom drawer, and then either add or subtract some dimension. Maybe you subtract an inch, or maybe you multiply the height of the top drawer by some factor, maybe 1.2 to arrive at the next one, and then the next one is 1.2 times that. There's another method called a Hambridge progression, and I've been working recently with a SketchUp student, and we were talking about this, and I thought it would be kind of a neat thing to show how you can use this in SketchUp. Now, the starting point for this progression, typically it's taken as the width of the drawer front, and in this case I'm drawing a square that's 24 inches wide, as if we were making 24-inch wide drawers. So that's just a thing to get the distance, and you can do this mathematically, but doing it graphically is kind of neat. And I'm using the arc tool, and the first arc I'm going to draw is going to be, its radius will be the diagonal of the square here. And I'm going to come up to vertical. And currently I only have a few segments in this arc. It doesn't really matter how many you have. You can see this kind of coarse, but all we really care about are the endpoints. So I'm going to make another one. The next one is, the radius of it is going to be from, it's got to line up at the opposite end here and come up to vertical. And so I'm just using inferencing here. So I'm coming up, I'm not holding any buttons here, I'm just positioning the mouse there, and then I'm coming across using, making sure I see that red dotted line, and we'll just put one more in. So again, here, over to the left, and I've got that dot at the top of the square, and bring that up. All right, so the distance between each of these points would be the heights of the drawer fronts. I'm going to make a component out of that real quick so I don't wreck it. And we'll just call it Hambridge. All right. So I can draw in my drawer fronts like this, and I'm not going to bother to name these drawer fronts, but obviously you would. Let's actually use keyboard shortcut R for the rectangle, and we'll put in another drawer front, make it a component, and repeat the process until we've got our 4 drawer fronts. So that's all fine. And we have a nice progression in our drawers. And that's all great if you don't really care too much about how tall this is, but typically in a piece of furniture you've got some sort of a height limitation, or you have to get it to a certain height. So how do we use this thing for a real project. If our drawers were going to be a different width, this whole thing is going to get larger, and that may not be what we want. So let me show you a way we'll use that. Before I do that, I'm going to save this component so I can use it in other models. And so the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to open the Components panel, and let's purge our unused because I don't need any of those other drawer fronts that I created. But I've got this, and I'm going to click over here on the Details menu, and I'm going to save this as a local collection. It's only going to be one thing, but I'm in this case, because I'm working in SketchUp 2019, it's taking me right to my components panel. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it Hambridge, if I can spell it. And I'm going to open that, and it'll save it as the with the component name. There we go. So now in my drop down, I can go down here and find Hambridge, and what I'll do here is I'm going to add that to my favorites. That way it'll just show up in the list. Now let's open, I've got a dresser. I don't even need to save the changes here. I've got a dresser here that needs to have drawers put in it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to identify the height of my drawers. This case is going to have dividers between the drawers. They're going to be the same thickness as the top and bottom of the case. And so I'm using the midpoints here. And let's bring this in. Now this is too large for my cabinet here. But what I'm going to do, I should have measured this before. But let's do this. So it's 19 and 13/30 seconds. And I only need 3 drawers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this component and make this fit. And to do that, I'm going to measure. So there's 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to measure from here to here. It tells me that it's 24 inches. I'm going to change that to 19 and 13/30 seconds. And do I want to resize? Yes. Now, if I move this, let's get out of the edit mode. We'll move this. And it doesn't really matter where, but where we grab that. But now my drawers are going to fit in there between this midpoint and that midpoint. So actually it's the dividers that I need to work on next. And so I can bring this over. Actually, let's put that right on the edge, because that's where I want to center a rectangle from the center. And we'll just leave it like this. This makes it a little easier to center that. We'll just make it a square to start with. So it's 3/4 of an inch square. And then I'm going to bring that over. And I'm not going to make you watch me do all the drawers, but I think you get the idea that hopefully that this will be a divider. And then I can put one up here. And now I know where my drawers need to be and how tall they are. So once you've got this thing created, and you could make this for as many drawers as you want, and then you can use whatever set of drawers you want or divisions out of this thing. But you never have to reconstruct that thing. You can just use it when you're finished with it, delete it, and go ahead with modeling your drawers. So it's an easy way to leverage a component, and the fact that you can resize it using the tape measure tool. Hopefully there's something out of that you can use. Let me know if you have any questions, and Happy New Year.